Hello and welcome. Today's show is perfect for you horror movie fans out there. And even if you're not a scary movie fan, you'll still be on the edge of your seat from the fascination of today's show. Today we are talking to one of the hosts of this year's Macabre Faire Film Festival. The Macabre is the only festival on Long Island that celebrates films and filmmakers. It allows actors, directors, movie fans to all gather in one roof to discuss the who, what, where, when, and how of what goes into a movie production. This year, we will be covering the festival and bringing you spine-tingling, hair-raising interviews and getting the inside scoop on some big-name actors who appeared in horror classes like The Exorcist and Halloween. But first, let's meet the man in charge of this festival, Adam Ginsberg. Adam is an actor, producer, director, and radio host, and here he is today. Adam, nice to see you.
Oh, thank you so much for the warm
welcome. Thank you for joining us today.
It's a pleasure to be here.
Thank you for being here. So the Macabre is just around the corner. We'll actually be covering it, and we're going to be taping this show in two parts, actually. So today we're giving you a little bit of background as to what the Macabre is all about, and then next week, be sure to tune back in because you will see the fine footage because we will be there in several weeks.
Cool.
So Adam, tell us a little bit about the Macabre.
Sure. Well, first off, to kick things off, as they should be, the Macabre Faire Film Festival is an event put on by our company, Twitch Productions. We do a lot of different types of events. We started off, believe it or not, with a haunted house in our backyard years ago, and we grew that into live theater, dinner theater, band that went out, played in the city, acoustic comedy acts, so on and so forth, gradually doing bigger and bigger haunted houses for other entities, and eventually putting on our own shows, and then bringing in Long Island playwrights, putting on their shows. And just through the love of film and entertainment and theater, we decided to start to dabble into film, and we created actually 2 short films of our own, and then eventually moved into large-scale events. And this all happens, it's not me by myself. I have an incredible teammate, which is my wife, Elsie Ginsberg. She goes by Elsie Macabre as a character name.
Who couldn't be here today, unfortunately, but
she will be here for the next one.
No one love her.
But yeah, we're kind of like the frickin' frack, you know. It's a real mom and pop type of effort, and it's one of these things where the work never stops, but it's not work. You know what I mean? When you really enjoy what you do, and to the point where our vacations are spent going and doing other events and research or whatever it may be, and that's kind of what it is. And moving into the Macabre Faire, this film festival was actually birthed by what started off as just Macabre Faire events, which were these 3-day sort of 20 bands, burlesque dancers, sideshow acts, a lot of vendors taking over that Best Western Hotel that you were at for our last event. And what happened was last year in the spring, we were out at an event called Monster Mania, and we were having some conversations with some filmmakers, and one of them mentioned that he was going to be submitting to a film festival and blah blah blah, and Elsie and I both kind of do one of these, and just when you really just know each other so well, it was almost unspoken. We kind of looked at each other like, we can do this, and the conversation just became how our next Macabre Faire event is going to be a film festival. And what's interesting is 2 months later, last June, or 3 months later, we pulled off the first one, and we were blown away by the support that came out. We had Doug Jones, who played Abe Sapien in Hellboy. This guy is in Hollywood blockbuster movies. Yeah. He was our first guest. He just loved what we were about. He could sense the passion and the honesty and the realism, and said, you know what, I've spent enough time talking to you guys on the phone, I got to get out there. And Newsday picked it up right away, which was really nice, and we were off and running that first festival. Fast forward to January 2013, which is the event you were at. That was that was actually our second. And what's interesting there is, I think when you do these type of things, there's a level of credibility that outside entities are looking for. And one of those is a milestone of, can you get past the first one? And we got past the first one, and it was like the floodgates opened for the second one with media. We had Fox there with their cameras. Newsday was...
And I actually saw it later that night.
Yeah.
It was there.
Did you end up in the Fox video at all? I mean, they were
I don't
everywhere.
think I did. I saw them walking around because I had covered it for another show that I was working on at the time, and I had a blast.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a lot of fun. The characters that were walking around, and I had my face made up from
Yes.
this incredible makeup artist.
Yep.
That looks like I had my face was bit by a zombie.
Yes.
We have a photo of it. Maybe we'll show it later. But it was really such a great time, and we're covering it again, and I'm really excited about it because this time there's even bigger names that are going to be there.
Yeah, you know, like I said, it's crazy. Newsday even brought us in last time for a photo shoot, and we've been very fortunate. Though Newsday seems to like the things we do. We have a show we started off with called The Living Dead Mafia, which is based on the life and afterlife of a character we created, Salvatore Rizzo, the Dead Father. He's been in Newsday a few times already. When we had done the show, they would come out and snap pictures, and boom, he'd be right there in the center section. So it was really nice to see the uptake that they were very interested in what Twitch was doing.
Absolutely.
And it was funny because when we went to do the photo shoot for that one, we had gathered up a crew of about, I guess it was maybe 12 or 15 people that were interested in part of what we do and coming down in their various characters. And I went down there as the Dead Father, of course, and they had to have us walk through the staff offices. People had to see, you know, the people that work there. Who are these people and these characters that we've been putting in the newspaper and such? So, you know, and now we're on to our third annual Macabre Faire Film Festival. Like you said, it's right around the corner. And we've got 69 films we're showing off.
Wow.
So this thing has really exploded. And
I think that's more than in January this year, right?
January was somewhere in the ballpark of, I believe it was about, I'm going to say maybe 30 to 35 or so. This one we wanted, and we started off with a real emphasis on short films. That's what we were looking for a point of difference from the first one and the second. And, you know, what's happened is I guess we can get into is the culture that we've created with our Macabre Faire events and sort of the vibe, you know, and the networking and the relationship building and such that happens is really something that's different than a lot of the other film festivals, or at least that's what keeps coming back to us. And lo and behold, what's happening is these filmmakers are talking to each other, and they're saying, you really got to check out what these guys are doing. And there isn't a day that doesn't go by that now, at this point, that we're in a conversation or an email or something, and you reach out to somebody brand new, and they're saying, I heard all about this, and I have to get to it. My friend so-and-so who made this film said, I can't miss this. So, yeah, 69 films this go-around is going to be something else.
And you better have your hands full, too, because you're also a judge of these films as well.
Yeah.
What do you look for as a judge?
Well, I'm an actor first. You know, that's sort of my real passion behind all this. I mean, I'm a producer.
Is that like your roots, where you really started in
Well,
in
it's
films?
kind of what I was thrown into when all of this began with our very first show 5 or 6 years ago. And it was by, you know, necessity is the mother of invention. Who's going to play the Dead Father? We don't have anybody. And my wife looked at me and she said, well, you know how to do voices. And, you know, you have broadcasting background. You can handle this. And I said, you're out of your mind. I've never been on a stage before in my life. And that's how it started. And I guess sometimes you got to kind of get thrown into the fire. And by the end of that first run of shows, I had the bug, boy. I mean,
it's amazing how one thing turns into another, and things that you wouldn't even expect to get out of that.
And so going back to the judging, that's usually what I really look to see how real are these portrayals. Are these characters that I can believe in? And that's kind of where it starts for me. I also have learned to sort of adjust the gauge when it comes to production values. At you know, these are indie films, and these guys don't have multi-million-dollar budgets. Some of them are working on micro budgets. I mean, a few $100s even. And so therefore, you have to look for the story. You know, you have to look for the acting. Editing is still editing. A guy can edit bad, or a guy can edit good, or a gal. And really, these are the types of things that we look for: the cinematography, the soundtrack, and obviously those that have a slightly bigger budget, or those that really kind of have their game with a right kind of camera.
So you really have to go through with a fine-tooth comb. Yeah,
you do, and that's one of the joys of being a judge. This go round, it's been a lot of fun. I personally I don't like to I don't really like to read about the film that I'm going to judge. I don't go on IMDb or you know.
You're more of a visual. You rather see it.
I want to pop it in there and just take me for the ride, and that's where we're going to go, because I don't want to go in with any sort of predisposed notion about either the the cast that's involved, or the director that's involved, or past work that was done, or what this story is going to be. I'd rather just be surprised. So, for me, that's a lot of fun. And what happens is, through the process of the judging, I'll usually have my laptop open, and as my interest begins to really get piqued, that's when, as I'm watching it, I start, looking up names and, finding out more about who made this and who's involved and et cetera. So.
Very interesting.
Yeah, and we have a number of judges. It's not just me. We actually have a process. A lot of films come in. They first go through a screening. Not every film that comes in gets in. We have a certain standard that we're looking for as a company, as a festival, and some things just don't match what we're looking for. Maybe it's not the right subject matter. Maybe we just aren't feeling what they've done at all.
It's not what you're looking for today,
yeah.
so to speak.
We had one that was somebody that, honestly, we were friendly with this person, and he sent a film that was extremely long. We can't be putting in 2.5, epic sagas into a film festival when we're trying to get, a lot of films shown. So, those are the tough decisions you have to make sometimes. But in the end, once they get through that screening process and sort of beginning to funnel it down, then they go into the judges' hands. And we've got a handful of judges. Judges go through the films. Everybody probably does it a little bit different. I just told you how I do it. And from there, all of the judges are tabulated by they're checking off what they feel the best of in a category. Some films don't get a certain category or any. Right. It just is what it is, and some may get everything. And now we go to the next step, which is they're all tabulated, and now these categories end up with films or actors' names or whatever it is in them, and the judges have to go circle back now and now pick a best of for each category. And this all culminates with our award ceremony at the event, which I don't know if you stayed for that, but
we did catch a glimpse of it.
Yeah, we have a lot of fun with it. We kind of go up, and I use my my radio persona as the host of it, and have my co-host from the radio show, and we kind of get up and almost in a way do it like it's our radio show, except we're standing in front of the audience. Yeah. So there's a lot of that give and take that we're used to in terms of our chemistry and a lot of our jokes and the voices that we do. And we keep everything really light because our tagline with Twitch has always been putting the fun back into everything scary. So that's how it always kind of comes back for us. It has to be fun. And that's sort of what the award ceremony is. And at the end, we have, they're coming up and they're getting their plaques this go round. At the last festival, it was plaques. At the one last June, it was these little statuettes. It was, so we really go all out with that, certificates.
Yeah. It's a great thing.
And we want them to have fun.
As people will see next week when we show you the actual footage of this year's Macabre Festival that's taking place in June, it really is such a huge event, and there's so much going on. What goes into putting together such a big event like this? A
lot of hours go into this, a lot of networking, and just a lot of honestly getting out there and meeting people goes into this. There are countless hours spent every single day in the beginning stages of sourcing and looking for the right types of films and filmmakers. We aren't the type that just put up the shingle and say, okay, send in your films. We want to find what we're looking for. And for us, it's not just horror films. We have what we call the Macabre umbrella, and that means that we'll bring in horror, sci-fi, twisted thrillers, dark comedies, et cetera, steampunk. All these things fall under this Macabre umbrella. So what ends up happening is...
So it's not just scary movies.
No. The basis is that, but it's not a gore fest. There's a couple of films in there that are gore, because it's what people like. And there's one in there that... I don't want to, because I'm a judge, I don't want to say, but there's actually one in there that as I was watching it, it harkened back to Charlie Chaplin. So, it was sort of black and white, only music, and the character was a zombie, was very Chaplin-esque in all of the mannerisms and stuff. Yeah. I laughed my butt off watching that. So, that's the type of eclectic mix that you would find at our festival.
Very interesting. And when I was there covering it originally back in January, I look at horror films a little bit differently now because there were a lot of vendors there and a lot of makeup artists, specialty makeup artists. And like I said, I got made up like I had a huge chunk taken out of my cheek, which looked amazing. And let me tell you, that took like 2 or 3 hours to get that off my face that night.
That's because you don't know how to take it off yet. You got to use the right type of dissolvent to get it off.
But it's just so interesting. So now you watch these types of films, these horror films, and you're like, I know how they do that now. So Not that it's taking something away from watching horror films, but it makes them more fun to
if
watch. And
anything,
I've always
I think
been
it
a horror
adds.
movie fan.
Yeah, I think it adds to the experience of watching films when when you've had an opportunity to talk with a director and you understand their process and you've met people involved in it. Then when you watch a film, even if it's up on the big screen, a Hollywood blockbuster, you have a different viewpoint altogether because you've sort of been behind the scenes, which is really nice.
Interesting. Well, Adam, we're going to take our first break here. When we come back, we're going to have more with Adam Ginsberg and about this year's Macabre Faire Film Festival. We'll be right back. Stay with us.
If you're going to be in the Riverhead area and would like to be part of our live studio audience, all you have to do is write for tickets. Please include your name, address, and daytime phone number. Email thejasonshow@yahoo.com.
We are back, and I am with Adam Ginsberg today, who is one of the hosts of this year's Macabre Faire Film Festival. If you're not familiar with the Macabre, it is the only film festival on Long Island that features filmmakers, actors, directors, and movie fans all in one place to discuss horror filmmaking. Adam, welcome back. Thanks again for being here today.
Thank you.
So we left off talking about this year's Macabre that's happening in June. We spoke about some of the actors that are going to be there. What did we leave out?
Well, actually, Eileen Dietz will be there. I know you kind of referenced that. She was in The Exorcist. She was actually essentially the Exorcist.
She is one of my favorite actors.
The demon. We've got Robert Nolan coming, who is an incredible Canadian actor.
Wow.
And he's in quite a few films that made it into the festival. And this guy is so versatile. It's unbelievable to watch him work. And we've got a number of the filmmakers themselves that are coming. We've got some panels happening. I'm doing Q&As on stage with filmmakers. We've got a class on an acting class happening on how to die properly. Of course, that matches the theme.
Didn't know there was a proper way to do it.
And we're doing some Q&As not only with filmmakers. I also have a Q&A going with a casting director, which actors who are, it's a great opportunity to come and ask questions right there. We also have distribution as part of what's going on with the Macabre Faire Film Festival. We have 2 distribution companies that got on board to sponsor us, Apprehensive Films and Wild Eye, and these guys are offering to the winners essentially a look-see to see if they'll distribute their films, and one of them is going to be there is a Q&A. So that's going to be nice too, because I'll have all these filmmakers in the room, and obviously they're going to be interested in hearing all that. So, that's kind of there. We've got a handful of vendors. We don't go too heavy on the vendors. We've got a number of musical performers that are going to be there. We've got Wise A, we've got Demon Boy, Psyche Corporation, The Wandering Cellist. It's just,
the list goes on.
We've got Sammy Davis Jr.
Wow.
coming from the Undead Rat Pack.
Awesome
to do a little something. That's something new. That's a new show that's kicking off recently in Manhattan, and we went out to see that, and Sammy Davis is coming out to actually do a little number before our as the song before our award ceremony on Sunday night. So we've got a lot happening. The hotel, obviously, it's the Best Western Mill River Manor, and that's over at Sunrise Highway, Rockville Center.
And that's usually where you always have them. So
yeah,
even if people miss this one, they can make it to the next one.
Yeah, the next one there is going to be in January. We're going to go really soup to nuts in January with the whole red carpet and creatures of the night and such. But we also have something else coming before that, and that is our 4th Macabre Faire Film Festival, which is happening in September.
In Pennsylvania.
Yes, we have been very fortunate. We connected with the folks over at Parafest, and they are doing a huge convention over at the Sands Hotel, Casino, and Resort Center in Bethlehem, first weekend of September in Pennsylvania. And the Macabre Faire Film Festival is now the official film festival. That's part of it. And also as a sidebar to that, because we also work with performers and such, we're also handling the performer aspect. We're booking the bands and so on and so forth. So that's going to be huge. That's another film festival that we're doing. And then, of course, our, wow, geez, I can't believe I'm saying 5th one will be in January of 2014. So a lot of fun.
Well, absolutely are. And like I said, we were there back in January for the other one, and we had such a good time.
Yeah.
So really looking forward to next week. So again, you have to tune in next week to see all the footage and the smoking hot interviews with some of these big name actors.
Right on.
Eileen Dietz, one of them. I mean, I was a big soap opera fan, so I remember her in her General Hospital days.
Right. Right.
So I'm looking forward to her.
And she's great. She actually she came out to the 2nd Macabre Faire Film Festival and stayed at my house.
Did she really?
Yeah, she stayed over for a night or so because she came in early. So that was really interesting. I got Pazuzu in my house. But, she really was so nice. And, she kind of took me under her wing a little bit one afternoon and said, let's sit down and talk about your acting. And, really gave me some perspectives and things to think about and such. And, she's Auntie Eileen.
She is.
It's really cool.
She is a fabulous actress, so looking forward to her.
Yeah.
And on top of doing everything with the Macabre, you do acting yourself, you do skits at Island Cinemas here on Long Island.
Which we dragged you into.
Yes, which I worked with the Ginsbergs. I had a great time doing it.
Yeah, that actually was our Horror Nights programming we do over at Island Cinemas in Mastic. And essentially what we do there, this is now the third summer we're on it, we'll show classic old horror films. We even did Abbott and Costello meets, I think it was Meets Frankenstein.
Wow.
Last year. But we do these classic old horror films and a little live theatrical treatment before the movie starts, maybe 8 to 10 minutes or something like that. And the treatment is based on the characters and subject matter of the film, but it's not a direct knockoff. And then what will happen is after that ends, while you're watching your movie, throughout the movie little things will randomly happen that sort of continue the story that we began. Wow. And it's not like it interferes with your film, but it sort of adds to what's happening. So that's the Horror Nights programming we do. And then aside from that, we're pretty busy ourselves. Elsie's getting involved right now with a potential TV project having to do with paranormal and investigative type of show. I know they're going to be working on the scissor reel, sizzle reel or whatever it is. Yeah,
very big paranormal.
So that's pretty fun. And then myself, I've been very fortunate as I have begun the transition from stage to screen, I guess, to film. I've been very fortunate that I've, in the last year, managed to grab a number of roles, whether it be short films and some features.
And you're a fellow talk show host as well.
And I'm a talk show host with my radio show, which is called The Pod of the Dead.
Which I was a guest on as well.
And that's a lot of fun. Everybody needs an outlet, and that show is it's sort of a comedic variety talk show with independent music and serious interviews with filmmakers and interesting people and musicians and such, actors. But then the in-between is kind of where I let my hair down and a little adult humor at times or nonsense. But we do a lot of spoken word type of stuff, and we really do a nice job, my partner and I, Robert Frankenberg, at editing and music and sound effects and such. So we kind of give you a real audible experience. And honestly, when I do that show, and when I put it together each week and I'm sitting down doing the outline, I always have this vision in my mind of, I must have seen this when I was a kid, but it's sort of a vision of a family sitting around an old-time radio. And you're kind of looking over their shoulders and there's the orange glow of the radio. And that's always in the back of my mind when I'm putting together The Pod of the Dead, because I really want it to be, as you're listening to the show, that old sort of theatrical radio that takes you on this trip and you always look forward to tuning in. And that's sort of the drive behind how to create an audible experience with that program.
And it's definitely a place where you as a host can bring out your personality and deliver topics that you want to do or cover.
Absolutely, and I can get pretty stupid at times. So.
That's what's great about having your own talk show, isn't it?
Yeah, no, in all seriousness, I do, my roots with all of this really are more sci-fi and comedy, whereas my wife is more horror, and together over the years we've blended our likes and our tastes.
You guys are a great team, by the way, let me
thank
just
you.
say. 'Cause Elsie, who's not here today, which you'll meet her next week because I'm going to grab an interview with her, I always do.
Good.
But she is a fantastic actress, and like we said earlier, I teamed up with you guys to do one of your horror nights a few weeks ago, and it was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And I was actually a little nervous, and you wouldn't think I would be considering, all this, but...
Yeah, no, it's, you know what, it was just a different type of experience for you, that's all. And I actually like to use the Horror Nights, believe it or not, as a way to bring in new actors or actors who haven't done it in a while so they could shake off rust, because it really is and now you know that I was telling you the truth, it's not a high-pressure acting type of gig. It's kind of in and out. You're not up on a stage with the blaring lights. You're in front of a movie screen,
like
and sometimes the room is colored lighting or whatever it is. So it gives people an opportunity to kind of get back into the game or to try their hand at it in a very low pressure, type of way.
I found it much easier when we were actually doing the act, and we did a skit from Scary Movie 2, it
Yes,
was.
which was
Yeah,
ridiculous.
it was hysterical, and I was laughing. But it's like, it's all that anticipation of like leading up to it, but then
Yes.
once you're actually in it and you're doing it, it was so much easier.
Yeah.
You know, and it was like, it fit like a glove almost.
Absolutely, and I think that you hit it right there. It's about being in it. You know, when you're an actor or a host or whatever it may be, and you have to portray, if you can't get in it, you know, here, then it's not going to come across to the
Right.
audience. And, you know, that's really ultimately, especially with horror nights, you know, the script isn't the end of the world. It's about delivering. If we can deliver the message and deliver it as if we're there already and we're in it,
Yeah.
it's going to come across fine.
Excellent.
Yeah.
So what do you have in the future planned?
Ah, wow.
I know we have the next Macabre is already planned for January.
We've
I mean,
got,
how far advanced do you book your events?
Well, we've got the next three Macabre Fairs on the plate, which is obviously in a couple of weeks here at the end of May. We've got the one with Parafest, and we have the one in January. We also are looking at potentially live streaming January.
Wow.
January's Film Fest, which is going to be huge if we can pull that off.
So what's the difference between Parafest and Macabre Fest?
Oh, well, Parafest is an event of its own, and this is taking place in a massive event center. They've got, I think, somewhere around 70 or 80 different celebrities that are going to be there, and really what we are is we're the film festival component. So we're being marketed as the official film festival of the event in all their advertising and so on and so forth. And for us, what we're doing is we're bringing some of our best films and some new selections. That's what we're doing there to show them off, and we'll also be booking the bands and such and making sure that goes off without a hitch.
Excellent.
So, and one other thing aside from that we're currently specking out for October is we're going to do a Stephen King event with Carrie coming out. We're going to do a
One
Stephen
of my
King
favorite
Day.
writers.
Yeah, back at the Island Cinemas, and we'll have a DJ there, and we'll show a handful of Stephen King movies and culminate the evening with the remake.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Great stuff lined up. Can't wait for next week. Awesome. Adam, thank you so much. We'll be right back. Stay with us.
Thank you.
If you're going to be in the Riverhead area and would like to be part of our live studio audience, all you have to do is write for tickets. Please include your name, address, and daytime phone number. Email thejasonshow@yahoo.com.
All right, unfortunately, we've run out of time for this week, but be sure to be back here next week because we will have complete coverage of this year's Macabre Faire Film Festival, the only horror film festival here on Long Island. So you definitely want to be back here next week to hear those spooktacular interviews that we will have with big-name celebrities. Thank you so much for joining us this week, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.